I really appreciate everybody coming tonight. Today's my first day as the president of this meeting. All right. I've been in Serra Mesa around 8.5 years now. I'm really excited to join the board as president. Try to make some positive difference. And it's all about you guys coming out, supporting, giving us good ideas. So we really need your support and your feedback, to make this thing possible. So let's start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll get on with our presentation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, with liberty and justice for all. So I'm replacing Carl, who's been the president for a really long time here, and I wanted to bring Carl up here to give him a nice farewell. He's still going to be on the board, so don't worry. Yeah, come on up. Okay. But he's been 12 years? 15. 15. Oh, wow. 15 years as president, and we have some recognition. Wow. From Joel Anderson.
Didn't expect that. Got to end up my speech. I had 12 years. 12. Okay.
No,
that works. Yeah, okay. Thank you guys for having me. My name is Coleman Ransom. I'm a representative of County Supervisor Joel Anderson. And on behalf of Supervisor Anderson, I would like to recognize and celebrate Carl Dimas here for his outstanding commitment to our community of Serra Mesa. Through serving as president of Serra Mesa Community Council and dedicating 15 years. Well, to the cause of improving our community, you've impacted countless lives. Not only did you serve on the community council, but you've worked with numerous nonprofit organizations, offering countless hours of your time to help others. Your dedication and passion should be seen as an example for us all, an example of how to navigate through life with compassion and nobility. Be it proclaimed that I, on behalf of Supervisor Joel Anderson, by virtue of the authority vested in him as Second District Supervisor for the County of San Diego, do hereby proclaim that this 26th day of March 2024 is Carl Dimas Day in the Second District of San Diego County, to recognize his extraordinary contributions to public service and his over 15 years of dedicated service as president of the Serra Mesa Community Council. Once again, thank you for all you've done, and thank you for having me here.
There's some really big shoes to fill, and I'm going to be relying on you a lot more than doing too. Thank you so much. So we got a jam-packed evening tonight. So the first thing we want to do is we want to give you an update on the SDSU Mission Valley development down the street. Elizabeth, how do you say your last name?
Spillane.
Spillane. She's going to be doing the presentation. We're going to get an update from our police community officer. And you guys will have a chance to speak and ask questions and comments and all that. So let's get going with the presentation.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Elizabeth Spillane, and I'm Senior Analyst with the SDSU Mission Valley Development. I'm here today to share with you the plans for SDSU Mission Valley and also give you an update just on the latest that's happened on site. So I'll start just with a quick refresher on sort of how we got here. I know being living right up the hill, you're all very familiar with this site. Next slide. So in 2018, the voters of San Diego approved Measure G, the SDSU West measure, which allowed SDSU to buy the former Charter Stadium site that you see pictured here. It had a giant stadium in the middle of a huge surface parking lot that immediately led to the San Diego River. Fast forward to today. Next slide. This was taken earlier this month. You see it's all parkland along the river, and then going up the east side of the site, we have Snapdragon, as well as Thrive Park. That's the park to the west of the stadium. That's considered part of the stadium complex. And then all we sort of see now is site of the future development we're going to talk more about. So this is the master plan for SDSU Mission Valley that we're implementing. Obviously, the stadium is already built and operating on site. We're also going to have about 1.5 million square feet of research, technology, and office space. That's out in what is just what's now a parking lot that's south of the stadium. And then we're gonna have about 100,000 square feet of ground floor retail throughout the development, just on all the ground floors. North of the stadium, there's gonna be a 400-room hotel and about 40,000 square feet of conference space. And then, of course, we just had the River Park completed. We'll talk more about that in a bit. And we're gonna be building about 4,600 units of housing in what is now that yellow shaded area, kind of the eastern half of the site. And about 10% of that, what is developed on site would be affordable. So we recently completed RFPs for the first 3 public-private partnerships that we're using to do these development projects on site. You can see there where they're going to be located. Next slide. The first is going to be the residential and retail project. It's going to have about 600 apartment units for the general public. That's not student housing. And it's going to have 30,000 square feet of retail, including a grocery store in the ground floor. Be gold certified, which is above what was required by our EIR for sustainability. And that was just approved by the Board of Trustees in November and is going to start construction next year. The next project is our first round of affordable housing. That's going to be about 186 units with a mix of 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom units, with a maximum average affordability of 50% of area median income. And it's going to be about 1 parking spot for every 2 units in that ballpark. And that was also recently approved by the Board of Trustees and will start construction next year. And then finally, we have our first 300,000 square feet of office research lab, technology incubator and accelerator space. It's going to be built in phases across 3 buildings. SDSU will occupy 50,000 square feet of that for research uses. We'll also see our first structured parking development as part of this project. Eventually, all the surface parking is going to be developed and replaced by structured parking. That we're targeting Board of Trustee approval later this year and then construction next year. So some of the recent updates on site, very exciting. Well, this as exciting as hydrology can be, is that our first, as we know, we had an extreme rain events in January and February. And so that was the first real test of the hydrology of the site, which was built with all the best engineering technology, had to be built to withstand a 100-year flood event because of where it's located. We all know the history of this site, as you can see, where Welcome was flooded. We're proud to report that everything worked as designed during the rains earlier this year. So everything flooded the way it was supposed to, it drained the way it was supposed to, all of our water quality works. We captured 100% of the runoff before it could run into the river. So that's all captured and treated on site. So that was a really exciting milestone for us. And another very exciting milestone for us is that last week we opened a connection between the Fenton Crossing project opened, which now connects Fenton Parkway directly into River Park Road on our site. This is a quick piece of background. As part of the purchase and sale agreement with the city of San Diego for this property, we agreed to set aside land if the city of San Diego ever wants to build a rec center for the Mission Valley community. So we have this parcel of land that we've agreed not to build anything on, but the city doesn't have funding identified for this facility, so it's not going to happen anytime soon. So in the meantime, we partnered with a nonprofit organization that works with youth and women refugees and teaches them job skills through job readiness training and sort of agricultural training. And so they have started a community garden on this spot, on this space. And pretty soon they're going to be offering boxes to the community. If you want to purchase, you can buy a share of, their produce, but it's also used in their cafe facility in North Park, which is where they do some of their job training work. So it's a really great organization, and we found a way to have a temporary use there that whenever the city calls and tells us they need this piece of land for the rec center, we'll help find them a new home. Okay, so I think probably the most exciting recent update at SDSU Mission Valley is we've opened the River Park. This is a public park. It's open to the public just like any city park would be. It's a very cool combination of the needs of the local ecosystem, but a community space with active recreation. You can see the fields there, hike and bike trails, and educational signage throughout the site. Next slide. And you can see here some of the active recreational amenities, and then here is a tech ball table. It looks like a curved ping pong table, but you play with a soccer ball with your feet. So we're one of the first public tech ball tables. And then we have the eastern side of the park that's gonna be open within probably the next month to the public, but it's in the plant establishment period right now. So with that, I'll take any questions.
The various housing is another line, so none of that is specifically student housing
Correct.
unless they happen to qualify.
Exactly.
Apply or like some students with families want to be able to.
Right.
And then I haven't been down to the park yet, but I saw some things online, there were some questions about the parking. If you're just gonna access the park, is there designated parking?
There is a lot with 2-hour parking near the park. There's also pay by phone parking throughout the rest of the site.
Okay.
But it's become a very popular spot, so parking is in demand.
Okay, and then, but when everything's filled out, is that parking gonna go away or is there only a?
No, that
parking
parking is permanent.
Oh, that parking. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's all I.
Keep thinking, come back.
What about parking for the crowd?
It's not a park and ride at SDSU Mission Valley, so that would have to be a question for MTS if they have any plans to identify a park and ride. Yes.
Is there any intention of this issue complying with the environmental impact report promises they made?
To our knowledge, we're in full compliance.
For example, pedestrian and bicycle access around the perimeter of the property?
Well, the hike and bike loop will be open as soon as the East Park opens by May 1st, if that's what they're trying to. There's a 2-mile hike and bike loop that goes around the entire property. And the only place that's outstanding currently
Currently about pedestrian facilities across Mission Village Drive at the south side of Friars Road at one point.
That- it was relocated, but it hasn't gone away. It's open to the public and functioning.
So if I walk down, like I do quite often, down Mission Village Drive facing traffic. And make it right at the bottom across the bridge. They get down Friars Road facing traffic, like a lot of states require that you walk facing traffic. And it's actually very dangerous to walk in Mission Village Drive with your back to traffic, as we've seen. I end up walking across no pedestrian crossing signs. There's no crossing.
I might not be picturing it correctly, but I don't
Okay, you walk down the hill, you get across the bridge.
walk down
Across
the hill.
the ramp, Friars Road. It doesn't matter if you cross the ramp or not, you can't cross on either side. You get across, there's no pedestrian crossing signs to go down Friars Road west.
Why don't you and I talk offline, because I'm having trouble picturing what you're talking about.
Oh, you're on the south side of Friars Road. Or yeah, so you're on the south side, the stadium side, to go west towards
Right, so
Costco.
if you want to face traffic all the way down the hill, all the way down Friars Road, there's no way to cross. It was blocked.
You're going west, you're heading west.
Right, if you head west, there's no pedestrian crossing signs on both sides. Both sides of the ramps, both sides you can't, you'd end up having to walk back up to the next intersection and cross and come back, which is ridiculous.
Okay, I'll have to look into that for you.
That crosswalk needs to be put back in. And also bicycle facilities were eliminated, San Diego Mission Road too.
Yes.
And
Could you please find a little bit more about the Federal Parkway connection with that?
So for River Park Road at the end, the southern terminus of our site, if you want to go back to the site map. Yeah, we can use that one. So right here, the southern terminus of River Park Road, this has always been a dead end. This is the crawler tracks. We've been working with MTS, the city of San Diego, and the CPUC to create a crossing for vehicular traffic there that has never existed before. And that's now open to the public.
Crossing, there's a crossing going where?
Between it to Benton Parkway,
And is that cars or walking?
all of the above.
Okay, so you can actually go to the New River Park now and then drive through to get to the street that goes next to.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, very good. Right, yeah, that's right into the library.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
One question and a million more. No, I saw in some preliminary plans, there was going to be a bridge built in that spot over the river to connect to the other side of it. Is that still in the plans?
SDSU is still,
Oh, I saw in preliminary plans that at this Fenton Crossing location, a bridge was to be built crossing the river here to get to the other side, so.
SDSU is pursuing that. It's been in the community plan for the city of San Diego for Mission Valley for about 40 years. Due to the environmental sensitivity of building anything adjacent to the river, it's never happened. As part of the SDSU Mission Valley development, our EIR did not require the bridge and as mitigation, we're not required to do it. But as a sign of good faith, we agreed to pursue the bridge according to all really reasonable means and build it if we can get wildlife agency approval. But that's a multi-year timeline just to secure the approval, and then building it would be another several years. So it's a long timeline.
Has the process begun or is it still just like on paper?
No, we've posted the notice of preparation and we're getting ready to circulate the draft EIR.
Okay.
So it's currently crossing only the ducks.
Pardon me?
We currently only crossing for ducks.
Right. Yes, yes.
Is there any barriers out there to keep the homeless from moving? Leave that as a whole campground, because they're going in now.
Right, I mean, there's a fence between the river and the river park. But that can obviously, there's public access to the site.
Does the fire department or the police? Monthly or?
I'll get to that part.
It's actually the ranger that's in charge of that, though.
Yeah, there's some security down there. They've talked to me about my dogs.
No, what?
Did you have them off leash?
Yes, I had it off leash.
Yeah.
Good question. So basically everything covered today, it looked like the completion would be the 2027.
Yes, that's the target. It's subject to market forces, but that's the timeline we're on. Yes.
The Murphy Canyon trail along the east side of the property got opened back up, but the sign never got removed out there across from 24 Hour Fitness. It says bicycle trail closed.
Okay.
And can we get that removed?
Sure.
If it's still there, I haven't checked in the last couple of weeks. We could get it removed. So people know it's all.
Yeah, I want to follow up on the parking and having access to the trolley. It sounds like you've been working with MTS on other things. Wouldn't this be something you could work on too? Because being able to make a trolley would be great. I mean, that is one of the pushes of the city is to reduce that carbon footprint. So what about trying to follow up on this too?
I would be happy to relay that request, but I think that's about as far as it will go if they can't identify the land.
So that's MTS's responsibility, something like that, adding a stop.
You're saying there was no land that was designated for parking for the.
No,
And if you had a bus going, it wouldn't need parking.
we would love it. That's another thing we actually have asked MTS to bring buses to our site. We're actually set up to stage for 4 bus stops right on site, but MTS has not pursued that.
What did you say about 2027?
That's when we're targeting having some of the initial construction projects done on site.
So would that mean that classes would begin then?
No, there's not going to be classroom space as part of any of these developments. It would be more like graduate level researchers.
Oh, I see. So there's no real classes being held at the site.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
So it's not like
research
students are gonna
facilities.
be going back and forth every morning, but,
Correct.
okay.
It's just, it's the research facilities, which a lot of which are currently housed on main campus. So it opens up space on main campus to do traditional classrooms.
We thought there, at least, people I spoke with thought it was going to be classrooms and, students and. The initial word, because every rumor, was that the buildings were gonna be all dormitories and the buildings were gonna be all classrooms, but none of that, huh? Okay, interesting.
You mentioned a hotel already, the projections for a house in commercial and also a hotel. Do we know the hotel that's gonna be there?
You don't.
Okay.
That's going to be a future phase of
And
development.
also retail, would it be like just shop and restaurants pretty much?
There will be a food and beverage focus in this first project.
But we don't know the details of who or
We know there'll be a grocery store.
I got it.
That's it, as sort of an anchor tenant.
And that's community grocery store, nothing, yeah, is it like gonna be a giant, mounds, or, you know what I mean, like, what's the scaling?
Well, it's, I wanna say it's like 26,000 square feet.
Okay,
It's not something that it does.
So I know the parking will be paid parking, but it will be open to the public then to shop there and park there. Okay.
Yes. The retailers will have parking dedicated to them, and the on-street parking is all paid. Okay.
thank you very much.
Okay, so Coleman, you want to come up and give us an update on Supervisor Anderson's office? Did you hand out?
Yeah, most.
Your flash drive.
Thank you so much. Awesome.
Oh, yeah, I was looking for the specific, but no, that's. Go ahead, please.
Cool. Yeah, so everyone that wanted a packet should have a packet. First thing in that packet is a little half sheet. Basically, if you have any suggestions for County 2 for Supervisor Anderson, or any concerns, bunch listed on here, you can write your own.
I'll take a copy there.
Yeah, for sure. There's a bunch up on that. But yeah, we just ask that you fill out the front and back and then get them to me afterwards, and I will take them back to the office. We'll put in our system. Next is going to be the bigger package here, which is the 2023 legislative actions and accomplishments. So yeah, basically Supervisor Anderson just likes events like this. He likes to highlight what he's done in the last year. Couple that I'd like to point out regards to public safety. I want to highlight Supervisor Anderson's efforts to keep our community safe by addressing the fentanyl crisis in our community. He secured $500,000 in the county's budget for the Sheriff's Department opioid enforcement program. And then another big point of his this year was addressing the homelessness crisis. It's a big priority for him. Quote from me, he says, "The goal is to get people off the streets, not push them down to the streets." So he established a shallow rent subsidy program and a senior co-housing program this year to help keep our senior citizens in their homes. And also the Board of Supervisors has approved Supervisor Anderson's proposal to create an unsafe camping ordinance that would allow our local law enforcement to break up illegal encampments that pose a threat to public safety. Yes, and then next in that packet, so there's a bunch more that's in this packet too, that goes into more detail. But the next one is going to be a sheet that looks like this. This is for grants. A lot of people don't know, but our office gives out a lot of money in grants. So for local government agencies, nonprofits, small businesses, we have our neighborhood reinvestment program and our community enhancement program. So the first round of grants already went out in December, but we're doing another one in June. So applications for that are due the 30th. All the information, who, what, and how to apply on this sheet.
The 30th of
April.
April.
Yeah, sorry. And then, so in the last year, just to kind of show how it works, we give almost $6.5 million to small businesses and nonprofits in District 2 alone. And then finally, the last one looks like this. Just here, very last one. It's the internship recruitment. So that's what I am. I'm an intern there. He's always accepting new interns. And if you're looking to volunteer in your community, you know, a high school, college student, or even like a young professional who's looking for valuable experience, I would definitely recommend it. All the information's on there for that. So that'd be good. And then going into the update for March of 2024, just to highlight a few things. If anyone has questions afterwards, I'll do my best to answer them. Just an intern, but okay. So first off, regarding the American Rescue Plan Act, so the county board voted unanimously on how to spend the remaining $102 million of American Rescue Plan Act funds, which is a federal stimulus bill that was meant to help cover from the COVID-19 pandemic. We just have a lot of leftover funds. So it's been broken down into two categories. So for the American Rescue Plan Act, we have 67 million allocated to that, and 35 million for evergreen programs, which is like wildlife or disaster prevention and preparedness, and like for our parks and stuff like that. So for our county, our district, I mean, we got approval for 27.1 for programs for things such as homelessness assistance, housing and behavioral services, and then 10 million for national disaster prevention and preparedness. And then the next big topic of this month was the migrant crisis at the border. So Supervisor Anderson recently proposed a board letter directing the county of San Diego to send a letter to the White House urging the president to close the border to mitigate the resurgence of street releases expected to resume this spring. However, the board letter calling out President Biden to close the border was rejected, and so the board instead voted to send a letter of support to congressional leaders calling for a bipartisan immigration reform bill. And so right now, the White House has accepted a meeting request from the supervisor to discuss the need for federal support. So that we should be expecting more updates in the next coming months. But that's mainly all I have right now. If anyone has any questions about anything.
Carl, did you leave a card back there for us to take in case we have any, like, are you gonna be our community guy?
Yeah, it can be, yeah, I have a bunch of business cards, and then mainly the best way is through these half sheets there, there's a bunch more on the back table, I'll go put my pen by too.
And who's the best person to contact for that, that program,
The grant? Yeah.
Yes.
The intern one, I believe you just do it through a how I did it was through the website, so it's gonna be very bottom, because we don't really have a person that does it right now.
There's Michelle.
Oh, yeah.
She lives in North-
She's the coordinator, but she's a little busy sometimes, so the best way to do it, you could email her, but I would recommend going to supervisorjoehenderson.com/intern. That's the fastest way you're gonna get a response.
Michelle,
Yeah, Michelle, she's like in charge of everything, so she,
hopefully you can help us too.
yeah, yeah, but I would recommend it for young people for sure.
Well, thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
Joe, we
We
have,
have a representative from Serra Mesa.
Joe, we have a
Okay.
representative as well from Assembly Ward, so she can go and then.
Okay, so who's it from?
Assembly Ward, Assembly Member
Oh,
Ward.
okay, oh, okay, cool.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michaela. I'm from Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs' office. I'm the community representative in our office that covers the Serra Mesa communities. I've seen many of your faces before. Couple of updates out of our office last week. Congresswoman Jacobs and her House colleagues passed the remaining 6 appropriations bills. It shortly passed the Senate and then was signed into law by President Biden. So we have officially made it out of fiscal year 24 budget, and we're full steam ahead into 25. With that being said, Congresswoman Jacobs secured $13.5 million in federal funding for 15 local community projects. A full list of the community projects for fiscal year 24 can be found on our website under the Transparency tab. It also has a list of past projects as well. We anticipate that the fiscal year 25 community project funding process will start very soon. So if you're interested in applying for community project funding applications, the best way to do that would be through our website. We're hoping to have information online very soon, or I'm happy to give out my information to anyone that's potentially interested, and I can make sure that information gets to you once it's live. Also out of our office, earlier this month, Congresswoman Jacobs last month, not this month. She led the San Diego congressional delegation in sending a letter to the IRS commissioner asking for a federal tax extension deadline extension in light of the floods that we had in San Diego County in January. We're happy to report that that extension was granted. So the federal tax deadline is now June 17th. You don't have to show in any way that you're affected by the flooding. That just applies to all people in San Diego County. Also out of our office, we are currently holding the Congressional Art Competition. This is a competition open to high school students that live in our district. It's a super fun contest. Basically, students submit art to our office, and the winner, basically in the Capitol, there's tunnels that go between the office buildings and the actual Capitol building. And art from the winners of every congressional district is displayed in these tunnels. So all the members and all the staff, when they're walking through the tunnels of the Capitol, get to see this art every time they're going into the facility. And that art is displayed there for the year until the next winner is hung on the wall. So our office is currently holding that competition now. The winner gets to go to DC to see their art be hung. It's a really cool program. Have some flyers if anybody's interested, or if you have any high schoolers in your life that are fantastic artists and want to participate. Also out of our office, we're currently accepting applications for our internship program. Our internships are open to college students. I also have flyers for that as well. The application closes on Friday. All the information is available on our website for anyone you know that's interested, or I'm happy to give my card or flyers as well. That's all I have. If anyone has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. Or if anyone wants flyers, let me know. Yes.
I just want to say, Sarah Jacobs came to the middle school where I work last week and talked to the 8th grade students in a US history class, and I think they really enjoyed it.
She loves kids.
Yeah.
She loves kids, and she loves talking to kids about government specifically. So yeah, I know she really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
It's very nice. Anyone else?
For you, the website that you're referencing is Sarah Jacobs House.
Yes, yeah, and all the information is for community project funding, our competition, the app chat, or not the app chat, I'm sorry. The internships, any other information you may need from our office is also available on that website.
Is the art project for the children and veterans that are doing art?
It's only for high school students. Yeah,
Are those like underground tunnels or are they above ground?
they
tunnels?
actually are underground. Yeah,
Hmm,
pretty cool.
Now I
Pretty
know.
cool. Yeah. Is anyone interested in any flyers? I can leave some on the table.
Only didn't have some for the light.
Oh, yeah, I would love to leave some for you. I'll
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
We have one other speaker,
Yeah,
right? Who's it from again?
Mickey Holmes from Assembly Member Ward.
Okay, so then, okay. There you have the
Hi,
floor.
before Mickey starts, I just want to say Cora from the mayor's office is also present. If I can go after Mickey, that'd be great.
Awesome. So my report is going to be very similar. First, I would like to say we are very excited to announce that Assemblymember Ward has been appointed to the chair of the Assembly Housing and Community Development Committee. So that means he gets to read and assess every single housing bill that's coming into the Assembly and all the bills that pass out of the Senate. So he is very busy up in the Capitol. This week is actually spring recess, so he is in the district. We're taking meetings, hosting town halls, so you might see him around. And we are also hosting an art competition. It's a civics competition. So the art portion is for 4th graders. It's based on California symbols. And then for 11th graders, it is an essay contest for it's short, 2 to 5 pages, 2 pages, about a community hero that is in their life that we would like to recognize, as well as recognition for all of the students that submit essays and art. And our art will be hung up in the Capitol, as well as Capitol in Sacramento, as well as in Assemblymember Ward's office here in the district. And all of the competitors, all of the people that submit art or essays will be invited to a reception with Assemblymember Ward as well. In addition to that, we are taking nominations for Nurses Appreciation Week, National Nurses Week, Teachers Appreciation Week, and Small Business of the Year. I believe all of those nomination links are in our social media bio, but if you would like the links sent directly, just reach out to me and I will send those links to you. Again, it's your favorite nurse, teacher, and small business. And that is about it for me, and I can take questions if there are any.
Got off easy this time.
All right, perfect. Oh, I apologize. I'm so sorry. One of the biggest things I have to do while I'm here. I am handing off this community to my colleague Michael Bravo, who's also on this Zoom. I'm not leaving the office. We're just changing up some of the responsibilities. So Michael will be available if you need anything.
Can you update the contact info on that? Maybe put it in the chat because we have your email in there now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. I will do that. And thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one more?
Yes, one more. Coral it was. Coral.
Hi, yeah, Coral here from Mayor's office. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, my report will also be really short. I'm sure a lot of you already know the mayor has made his appointment for the chief of police. It was an internal candidate, Assistant Chief Wall. There will be a hearing later on in April. So the council members will have their opportunity to ask questions and hear from him. It'll be a council meeting. So there would be an opportunity for public comment for Assistant Chief Wall. If you would like to participate, once that date has been confirmed, I can definitely send it out. We have now moved into the process of looking for our next chief for San Diego Fire Department. Current Chief Collins Stowell will be retiring in August, so it will be a very similar process from the police chief search. It will not be as robust. As you know, we had 9 community forums for the police chief. For the fire chief, we will only have 2 in the beginning of April. I will send out those dates. I do believe the first one will be in District 4 and the next one will be in District 6. As it was already mentioned, our congressional delegation delivered quite a bit of money to the San Diego region, totaling $102 million for community projects spread out between the various districts. So shout out to our congressional delegation. And wrapping up with my report, we are pushing for people to report illegal dumping. Since the storms, we have seen an increase in illegal trash dumping in storm drains and storm channels. Please report it. We are working on possibly getting more signs, visible signs in certain areas that have been impacted, but we have seen an increase all over the city. So if you can just help us keep our channels and storm drains clear, we greatly appreciate it. I am here for any questions. Oh, I'm sorry. I actually also forgot to add, for the fire chief search, each district is required to nominate a resident in their district to serve on the community interview panel. If you would like to serve for District 7, please email Council District 7, or you can email me and I will pass it along to them. Now that ends my report. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do we have Cole's information? Do you mind putting it in the chat for your email information or your contact?
Sure. Yeah, I can do that.
So I can update our list here.
I have a question for Coral. I'm sitting at the computer. From the 102 million, you mentioned a few districts that had projects coming their way. I'm wondering if you know if District 7 has any projects from that 102 million?
I do not have the list of districts off the top of my head, but I can look into it and get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Is it, I can just email the Serra Mesa? Okay.
Community Council, yes.
Okay, perfect, yeah.
Oh, there's another question.
I'm here.
Yes, are homeless people who take their trash up and leave it in the canyon, can they be considered, can that be considered illegal dumping?
Let me make sure I heard you right. You're saying unsheltered individuals leaving their trash in the canyon?
Yes.
Yes,
They pick their shopping carts up and they unload their stuff and they just leave it. I mean,
yes,
it's
also abatement as well. So you can double report it if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
Question.
Yes, can you elaborate a bit on the volunteer with the fire chief you were talking about?
More information on the volunteer for the community panel? Yeah, sure. So for the police chief search, we asked each district to nominate a person to serve on the community interview panel. That is the first round of interviews for the chief. You will get to ask him or her questions and share your concerns, share your values that you would like to see in your police chief. And then after that, you will score the candidate. And then depending on their score, they will move up to the next part of the process, which would be an executive team interview panel that would consist of the police chief, lifeguard, and various executive people in the city of San Diego before moving on to the mayor and Eric Dargan, our chief operating officer interview.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thanks, cool, I appreciate it.
Of course.
I think that's it for our representatives, unless anybody's in here that I haven't seen. No mouse.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
This afternoon, I tried to find out who my city council representative under over in Berlin. And I went to the website and it says 92123 is in 2 different districts. Is that common? Where zip code is split between one district is between district 6 and 7. That's what it says on the website.
I think what you mean is county, that's.
Well, this, I was trying to get.
City council, we're all in one district, like.
About the representatives.
And POs are represented.
Okay.
10 representatives in the city council.
9.
9.
Yeah,
And
Raul.
they represent certain parts of the city.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was trying to find the one that I could talk to about where I live.
Raul
Okay, yeah, usually he's here or has a representative here. He didn't have
District
one.
7.
Yeah.
Miles Noel is the one. that's
And yeah, that information is on the sheet.
District 6 says, that 92123 is in that one also. It's on the website.
This is Birdland, this is Serra Mesa, and pink is 7. Okay.
So if you live in that big area,
Right, yeah,
that's, you're all with us.
It doesn't go by zip code.
okay, that was.
Okay, all good.
Yeah, because I think.
Yeah, no,
I know.
No problem. Okay. So now we'd like to hear from Officer Salvatore Laurel Torres.
Good evening, folks. It's been a moment, I believe. Yeah. So what I did is I just looked up crime stats that go back for about 6 months. And they're just solely for Serra Mesa area. So just to give you guys a quick breakdown, we had police officers respond to over 1,000 radio calls in just Serra Mesa alone. Just your community alone. Okay. Now I'm gonna break it down for which each one of those was. 159 of those were just disturbing calls, which could be anywhere from someone making noise outside, maybe people are arguing, and someone calls in, so it's just a simple disturbance, not necessarily the greatest crime in the world or anything like that, but nonetheless, it still generate a radio call. The next one is officers had 288 total traffic stops throughout Serra Mesa, and that's anywhere from some of those include just cars that are already marked on the side, they've been there maybe too long, so they'll tow it out of there for the 7-hour violations, or they've been abandoned there, they'll pick it up, so that kind of falls in line with that. We had 152 check the welfare calls. That's basically when either family members from outside or friends call for somebody and they want us to go check on them, make sure that they're okay. We had 122 domestic violence calls. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that a crime actually occurred during domestic violence calls, but it's just, that's how the radio call was generated. Obviously, I'm not gonna go into detail where they occurred, because that's just personal and it's a private matter. We had what's called 459 alarms, which are burglary alarms. Most of these, at least 90% of these were false alarms that we respond to. And if you happen to be one of those calls, you know, you get a little bill in the mail saying that we responded and now you gotta pay for this false alarm. Okay, that's not our thing. We had 77 911 calls. And vast majority, these are false calls. We get a lot of those at the hospital technically, when people are upset for whatever reason, the hospital will actually call 911 from there, and then they'll leave. And then they give us to respond to it, go figure. We had 77. So you guys like to call, I'm not saying you guys, but you guys really like to call illegally parked cars. We had 77 calls for illegally parked cars. Very active, I like that. We had 59 radio calls that dealt with mental issue. Some of those could be tied into some of the check the welfare calls that we went to. It doesn't exactly say how many of those sexual welfare resulted in those mental issue calls, but nonetheless, that's just the numbers that we have. We have what's called a 415 violent. That is now when a disturbance, when there's actually possible violence going on. We had 58 of those. So it's not, believe it or not, 58 is not a lot, especially in a 6-month time frame. So it's supposed to show you for the most part, you guys have a pretty good community. We have 50 hazard calls. That can be anywhere from something that's on the roadway that's hazard for motor vehicles, from a fallen branch to a big rock somehow, or something just on the road that's created a hazard. Sometimes could be an abandoned car that people sometimes, especially if they've been drinking, they like to park the car very not right in the street, and then they leave and they forget where they parked, and then they call it in as a stolen car because they don't remember where they parked the car. Not saying it happened, but it's happened. And we had 47 reported stolen cars in a 6-month period, which is quite a bit, and that's Serra Mesa. So, and you guys aren't the biggest community, so that's a lot of stolen cars in just you guys' area. So that kind of brings me to some of the things I was gonna bring up. Make sure your cars are locked. Please don't leave your cars running. I know you're tempted to run in the house or run whatever, you leave your car door open, but the car's running. You see what some of the people that walk around these neighborhoods, and that's just easy for them to just jump in your car, and well, now they have, now they have a free joyride for a while until we catch up to them eventually. So just please be mindful of that for your cars. So that's 47 stolen cars is quite a bit in a small community like this. So let's just keep that in mind. Yes, sir, you had a question?
You know, many of those were like electronic lock.
I was gonna get into that. The other portion, and I know a lot of us, we have Kias or Hyundais, this guy, there was it was actually like some electronic hack that they were using where they can actually unlock your car and then start the car all via an app or basically a computer app. Kia finally, the process took about 3 years for them to figure out. Apparently, they finally in the process of making changes to these cars. So if you have a Honda or a Kia, you can actually turn it into one of the dealerships, and they will make the change for you. But yes, Kia and Honda were getting stolen left and right. The other cars that were getting stolen were the Dodge Hellcats. They had pretty similar issues. Modern technology can be wonderful sometimes, but it can also be the bane of our existence, because I mean, just as smart as we are in technology, well, thieves get smart too. So, it's a fine dance we have here. To touch up on the river, and I know we're talking about the stadium and all that. There was a little kind of confusion on how much of that was going to be patrolled by SDSU campus police. So we found out obviously that wherever the trolley part is, that's still going to be City of San Diego, so it'll still be patrolled by us. I know I have my our RSVP unit, which is our retired senior volunteer patrol. I have them doing a couple of patrols daily. So they do stop by the trolley stop, the grass area and all that on a daily basis, at least twice a week or twice a day, sorry. And that kind of keeps some kind of presence, because obviously it's hard for as few of us as there are, it's hard for just us to, it's like, okay, just go patrol over here. And unfortunately, we're always chasing the radio. So we're going from one radio call to the other one. So we don't have to, usually the time that we would always be like, okay, nothing's going on right now. Let me go hit the neighborhoods up and just be a presence. It's hard. I try to do that. I don't chase the radio call as much as our patrol officers. I have a little bit more liberty on that. So I make it a point to at least get into certain neighborhoods. And if people request patrols, I try to personally just do it on my own. Just because, like I said, it's really hard for a patrol guy to do it. So I will go out of my way and I'll mark certain parts in I do patrol every day. I have my little spots that I like to hit up. And if people say, hey, can you be a little bit more present? I'll take it upon myself and I'll do it on my own. Okay, that's just to relieve some of the pressure off our guys in the street. But back to the homeless issue, I know it's going to be difficult. We've been dealing with this, especially by the Rivers particular group, and they like to go from one spot. As soon as we do clear them from one spot, they'll just find another spot in the river. Usually, the ones who deal with them a lot is mostly our rangers, because that's actually their little area. Now we'll go assist them as as they request it, as much as possible, and then we can go system. Our NPD unit is the ones that deal with all the abatement rules, any illegal encampments and things of that nature. Our neighborhood policing division, they're the ones who do all of that. So if you guys have any questions, I know you guys used to get it done at, and sometimes it can be frustrating because I've heard that nothing gets accomplished via the get it done app. But nonetheless, the more you use to get it done app, kind of creates a little heat signature of complaints in a certain area. So that kind of will draw their attention more. It's one of those, the more you complain about it, the more you're gonna get attention. And in this case, it does work because they use the heat map, as you like to call it, and they will adjust accordingly to where they see the vast majority of radio calls. Yes. Get it done. Yeah, it works. So anytime you see an encampment anywhere, you use the Get It Done app, and it's super easy. And there's an event number is created basically, and they're supposed to go off of that event number, and they gotta go. And before that gets cleared up, they're supposed to answer to it. And if there's something going on there, they'll at least address it. And you have, yes.
So actually using that, recently a homeless person moved in basically for a month to be next to my house at the event life. And I'm just wondering, what is the best way? Because obviously contacting you guys is primary to do, but it's gotten to the point where my family's no longer comfortable being where they're at. They have to go by that area to the laundry, even they're drinking, playing loud music, and they a little baby. Yesterday or the day before I don't recall, he was actually starting a fire in the parking lot and was cooking something. So
Was that at the library, the old library?
At the old library down Central. What's the best way to address any of those issues?
So if there's anything like, especially when they're starting a fire, that is a fire hazard that in itself. So when you call it in and just address it as such, say, you see them, so they're at this place, this location, and they're starting a fire, you're concerned that it can spread into, because it really is, there is an actual fire hazard there in that area. And as soon as you start saying fire hazard, those are key words that they listen to, and they will, especially like I said, special fire issue, they'll adjust, they'll make adjustments on the level of how fast we're gonna respond to it, because obviously the last thing we want is some of structural fire going on.
So that'd be more of a 911 call than
I would do it just in case, it doesn't hurt. Do 911, if they say it's not an emergency, then they'll send you back to the non-emergency line. The other thing you can do is, I did leave a couple of cards there, limited budget, but I only get so many cards, sorry. I did leave some cards, things like that. As your community relations officer, I can get involved a little bit more and I can do my little part. I can contact our NPD and kind of like redirect them. And I will go and I'll hound them until they, they hate me. So it's all good. But the squeaky wheel, gets the grease, right? So I'll complain to the point to where they help me out quite a bit. So just let me know, send me a message, and then I'll start and I'll give you a little extra attention. Yes.
I'm going to actually, what else supports the question I have for you. We have a lot of vehicles and oversized things parked on our streets everywhere. These photos are taken today, by the way, this is about a mile of our home. These include motorhomes, boats, jump trailers, box trailers. And the problem they created a number of things. Number one, they take parking spaces, but also they created a hazard for pedestrians trying to cross it. You can't see very well, as well as drivers. We have a system that to get it done app, and the process is we report to get it done app eventually, and in order to prevent it, somebody comes out, if the vehicle or thing is still there, what they do is they put a yellow tag on it that says you have 72 hours, I believe, correct? And then most likely what happens is the person sees it and they moves to the minimum space and whack the ball starts again. I would suggest, and I guess the question is, if I'm parked in a parking zone that's like sits there 2 hours, parking officer will come by and they'll put a mark on my tire. They'll come back in 2 hours, I'm still parked there, I get a ticket. My question to you is, in this scenario where you have get done reports of saying these vehicles are here, rather than putting the yellow flags, tell the owner, hey, you better move this, can just be warm the tires, so the parking officer can come back within that 72 hours. If it's still there, then give them the ticket, because they already know it's been parked there for that.
So, and I do, we have, so we have our parking enforcement. So usually when I have big flush complaints about cars like that, I let them know, because that's literally what they do. Because for me, like I said, I can go mark a car, I do that a few times, from time to time where I mark it for 72 hours. But it's hard for me personally to come back in 72 hours, so it's hard for me, so I usually send them, they mark it and it gets passed on to another officer where it doesn't, for me, if I mark it, I'm the one that's responsible for that marking the 72 hours, weird how that works, but for them, they're good about that, they, especially because they're not police, so that's literally their job, is to go mark cars, and in 72 hours, they're responsible for ensuring that they come back with 72 hours, and either the car gets towed for the 72-hour violation, or if they're having some issues, sometimes they'll even call police, and we'll have it towed ourselves in case there's some kind of possible confrontation that can occur. I know some of these things that you had on here for some of these motorhomes, if they're on any kind of property, we can't do nothing about it.
I'm sorry, but I included those as an example, a lot of citizens, and that's throughout our neighborhood, are doing the right thing. They're parking, those are examples of where they're parking their boats and motor homes on their property, so it can be done. And the thing about it is that people are doing this, they're not homeless, they're not destitute, for money, they're going because they can get away with it. And they're clogging up our streets, and they're making our streets unsafe, unnecessary.
And I'd like to add something to what my husband said, the pink notice, they put it out. And it'll sit there for weeks,
Sometimes, yeah.
a lot of times. Or the person that owns the vehicle will see the pink notice and then the vehicle sits there. We think finally a pontoon boat that has been on Mobley for months, we think it might have finally gotten towed. There's a boat that has been pink slipped numerous times, still on the street.
That's the one I just saw.
There's another vehicle, it is so covered in tree debris. It finally had a pink slip on it, I went, oh. Pink slip was gone, the car is still there, that's gonna be 3 or 4, I didn't report it, cause I'm giving up.
Okay.
I reported a trailer that's on Mission Village Drive.
Okay.
That has a traffic cone behind it,
Very small.
obscuring the license plate. And the traffic cone is in the bike lane,
Okay,
which to me means nobody's using the bike lane.
correct.
Because the bicyclist would have moved that traffic cone. I sent that to get it done, they said, oh, well, you should report this as a crime. I sent that one on Miles, and he said he was gonna contact you.
Okay, so I saw an email from Miles, I haven't opened it, so
Yeah,
I'll get to it.
I just feel like there's a missing piece to where they're marking the vehicle with the pink slips. Occasionally, they come back and we'll see it, what looks like a ticket, and then nothing gets towed. Nothing ever gets towed.
So what I can do is I'll contact the supervisor for the POEs and see if I can
What's
get
POV?
our parking enforcement, and see if I can get him to attend one of these meetings with me.
Yeah.
Because some, a lot of the stuff he could be answering that
Yes.
I'm just patrols, but and obviously that kind of hits on his area too. But nonetheless, if you guys want, forward me those complaints via email, and then I can just forward it, so you can see it's not just me saying, oh, hey, listen, I got one. No, it's like, hey, listen, it's not just a neighborhood, it's neighborhoods that are being affected. And that way he can hopefully take a little bit more action, or push his guys a little bit more, to make sure at least they're following up a little bit better than, apparently.
Yeah, that's the thing, we don't say follow up, we'll see the pink notice and then
Okay.
nothing.
If you could just do that for me, please, and I
Okay,
can forward
sure.
some, I can forward it.
That's in your.
Yes, my email's on.
Serra Mesa, Kearney Mesa Branch Library will be closing in 30 minutes. Computer access will shut down automatically in 15 minutes. If you need to save or print your work, please do so now. We are no longer able to accept cash payments this evening. Library card or.
Just kidding.
Used with, parking, I live on a narrow street up South Feds, and if people park on the street, there's not enough room for trash truck and another car to get by.
Oh, never,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's Canary Way, Birdland.
Birdland, okay.
Now, there's a parkway that's about 4 feet wide between the street and the sidewalk.
Okay.
There are cars up on the corner, there's a guy that owns a truck, he's kind of got wise, he pulls up onto the parkway. About 1.5 feet, which gives enough room.
Okay.
Is that legal or illegal?
Now, you're saying up onto the curb?
You know, he's on the curb, his front, passenger tire and back tire are up on it, gives about 1.5 feet extra room on that thing. And I'm at the very end, and now I park my truck the same way, because they can't make a turn.
You know, I
call the sense.
Technically not supposed to be parking up on the curb, but what you're saying makes sense, I'm not gonna lie, as you get there inside.
Well, I've gotten a ticket for parking on my lawn, so I.
Oh, well, you know.
Get one for being, to make it easy for the people that have to turn around.
Yeah, well, I mean. I would love to say, you know, keep doing it, because I mean, you're doing it for the right reasons. But that's the risk you're gonna be taking, is you can be still silent, you're just supposed to park on the street, unfortunately. Any other questions, folks? And outside, yes.
You mentioned that your rangers are responsible for some of the areas, is that because they parking regulations? Okay, thank you.
And they do notify us quite big if they think some might know, if they feel that we run into some hostility maybe on some of the folks they deal with. So we'll walk with them here and there, but for the most part, they know pretty good and yeah, they deal with that quite a bit.
One quick question, did Serra Mesa crime stats include this infrastructure?
If it's, it is, yeah, it's part of Serra Mesa, yes. And it's. No, let me keep this, because I might do a little.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
I saw something on the news, the habitation ordinance, whatever has been changed. Is that in effect? Is it just talk?
Talking about the folks that live in their vehicles.
Yeah, they can't be enforced anymore.
It's not, it's always, it keeps changing, it honestly, it just, it changes so often that we don't know what the heck we're doing ourselves. Because one moment they're saying, okay, we can, you know, enforce it, you know. The hard part is obviously, you know, one is like, you know, folks they're on their, obviously, they're down their luck, they live in this is probably the only roof that they have over the head. So for us, sometimes, you know, it kind of hits home, it's, you know, we do feel bad for the folks, you know. But the other part too is we got citizens that are complaining about where they park, maybe some of the debris they leave out. So it's a fine line anyways supposedly it's changed where, you know, there's like 5 steps to deal with them, you know, where we go talk to them, just give them a little warning, maybe come back again, take their information on this time. And then the 3rd time, let them know, okay, possibly you're gonna get cited now. And then the 4th time we come, okay, now we can cite them. And on the 5th time, now we can take some kind of enforcement. But it's a long process just to get to, heck, just to get to 3 takes a while. It's tough. I know, you got the rule that within 500 feet of any residence or any school that can be parked. It's difficult. It's almost one of those that it's hard for us to deal with, just in the sense that, you know, we do have parking available for them if they want it. That's the other catch, right? They gotta want it. So we do gotta give them the option to go park in some of these zones that we have for it. However, if those places are full, we can't take no enforcement on it. We can't take enforcement on it. We have to give them the option of a place to be, of a place to stay. But if those parking struct or those parking, say parking spaces are full and they do get full every day, every night they get full. We can't take no enforcement. It's just one of those things how it is. If we can offer it and it's available, they have to take it. If it's full and, there's, all we can do is, annotate that we talk to them and that's it. Leave them where they're at.
Even if they're by a school, because there's a guy that lives in the Wagaford parking lot. He's in a white school.
If it's full and,
Can you make him
because
walk
we
down
have,
the street
now-
though, instead of being the school parking lot?
now I can go still talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, by all means, if it's especially in the evening hours, that nobody should be parking in schools other than janitorial personnel or people that are
He's
cleaning.
in the backside of the
What schools is?
Wagaford,
Elementary.
Wagaford Elementary, across from St. Columbus.
Like everyday type thing?
I see him a lot, not every single day. I think he works for the post office, to tell you the truth, because I've seen him in.
All right,
So I don't know.
okay, I'll keep that in mind though.
I can send you the license plate number and everything.
If you don't mind, please.
Yeah.
I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
I do have one other question. A little while ago, there was a situation where there was like a homeless guy pushing a bunch of cars down the highway. So, like right on the Mission Village Drive, so, in the police station, nobody was there. What's the scoop with folks being at the police station? Is there certain hours that they are there or not there?
So we just we pretty much just opened it up a couple months ago back.
Okay.
So now we do have an officer that sits in the front.
Okay.
He works, I believe, Monday through Thursday, and it's from, I believe, I want to say 7 to at least 15:30 or 3:30 in the afternoon. It's manned right there.
Monday through Thursday.
Monday through Thursday, correct, and then on Friday through, there's nobody there. There's a phone number you can call, that's posted right there, and hopefully somebody inside will at least man the phone and we'll send an officer out. If not, just, you can always wave an officer down that's going in and out, just that.
Okay.
Any other questions, folks? Like I said, there's 2 more cards, you guys can take pictures of them. Have a budget. Yes.
You want to make a statement or you don't have to on our efforts to repeal Prop 47? If you want to make a statement, if not, that's fine.
It's Prop 47 was presented as a great idea back in the day, if it gets repealed, I mean, it's one of those where, whatever the fine folks of California want, we will take action on that. It will be. That's all I can say. Prop 47. So Prop 47 passed, I believe, November of 2014, and it made all the simple drug use, all that misdemeanors where we don't even arrest, it's just a citation. Petty theft, that it went from, basically, they can steal up to $949, and it's just a little citation, and hopefully see you, vandalism, it brought it up to $400 and above is arrestable, anything below that. Citation, I see you hopefully in court 6 weeks type thing, so. It was meant to be one of those things like, oh, it's gonna help, relieve the population of jails and all that, well, the backlash to that was. Crime is through the roof, when our targets right here, that's in Mission Valley, number 5 in the United States is the most stolen, it teeters between number 1, but it's always in the top 5 as the most. Retail theft stores in the United States. That's here in our area, so. Mission Valley, but anyway, so Prop 47, if it gets repealed, now all those. Things that we would just have given them a citation for is now arrestable again, if it gets repealed. So no more, we'll give you a citation, then an hour later you come back, it's still in the same place.
You would not be repeatedly doing the same thing and wasting your time every single week, every single day. It would be taking care of business over the same. And is that in the works to repeal? Yes. It's in the works.
It is, it's 10 years later, so. But anyway, I do gotta get going, folks, like I said, so.
Appreciate it.
Have a good one. So that's not over.
All right, that pretty much wraps everything up. Is there anybody else that wants to come up and ask any questions, comments, concerns from the community?
I just have a couple of announcements. On April 20th, we'll be having our annual I Love a Clean San Diego cleanup. We'll meet at hopefully the rec center parking lot will be open. They're working down there, but we'll meet down there from 9 to noon. If you want to come help pick up trash, remove invasives, all kinds of good stuff you can learn about the canyons here.
And for students, can they get,
Yes, they can get community service.
what was that? You said?
April 20.
Community service.
Community service credit to students, yeah, right. Oh.
Also, the Friends of Library, tentatively, we're gonna have a summer reading kickoff on June 22nd, I believe it is. It's a Saturday, and we usually have $5 for as many books as you can shove in that bag, so it's a shopping day. Anyway, so those are a couple of things that are coming up.
I saw in the paper, before I left, to come here, that the city of San Diego is leasing, you know, the building right before you get to the rails, that the green fence, the fence has gone up around recently. I thought they were gonna tear the building down. City of San Diego has worked out a lease agreement to I'm sorry, they're gonna have people from their planning and development department working there. Something like,
Yeah.
I wanna say.
It's the Loma Nisa building.
500 people, employees.
Development services.
Yes, development services. I mean, it's not gonna be right away, because they have to do improvements, but that's gonna make Ralph's very interesting at lunchtime. With 500 city employees.
Just a quick announcement, we have a solar eclipse viewing on April 8th. It's gonna be at 10 AM, like similar to the previous one where we handed glasses and all that. They are saying it's the longest one ever been this year. And then we have the patron satisfaction survey is this month. I appreciate everyone and your regular and local, if you can fill in these like quick and easy questions and let us know how well or not we're doing. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
If you live in Serra Mesa and you're over near that Sean and Mission Village Drive, you will start noticing you're gonna start construction on that empty lot on April 3rd. And then they anticipate being able to start construction on the other two lots, which are across from the tap, a couple months later.
Wow.
One is that it's a dirt lot that's across from the tap, and the other is where the devices.
Okay. Wow.
It's a long time coming.
You know, I will give you one of those papers, this paper up there that has all.
Anybody else? Okay, so our next general.
Can I mention one more thing?
Sure.
The planning group has openings, so we would love to have more people on the planning group. In fact, we'll need more people. And the city council will be voting on all the planning groups we had to reapply. I think they're gonna vote in May, maybe the first part of May. So once our new bylaws are accepted, you don't have to attend any meetings prior, so just come.
And when's the next meeting?
Oh, I have to look it up. Third Thursday in April is the next meeting.
So it's on the website then.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next general is May 28th, 6:30, same time. This one sheet has a bunch of information on the elected officials. You're on a bunch of the folks that were on the call or on the sheet too. We'll have to update some of the new folks. But you know, the more you guys come, the more you could get other folks to come, your friends, your next door neighbors, you know, the more you guys get involved, the more we can accomplish. And thanks for the representatives for coming and the folks that spoke, and I appreciate it, and we'll see you on May 28th.
Thank you.